success, wealth is a finish line. Reach a certain number in your bank account, and the struggles of everyday life simply fade away. It is an idea baked directly into the American ethos. The Declaration of Independence explicitly lists the pursuit of happiness as an unalienable right. Data from Fidelity Investments reveals a disconnect in this logic. In a survey of individuals with over $1 million in liquid, investable assets, 42% reported that they do not actually feel wealthy. Even at the top percentiles of financial success, the goalpost moves. $1 million feels insignificant when compared to those with 10 million or to the billionaires dominating Forbes lists. Reaching a coveted financial milestone rarely delivers the lasting psychological relief we expect. In practice, the correlation between a high net worth and enduring joy begins to dissolve. If individual wealth fails to guarantee satisfaction, we have to ask if the same rule applies to entire nations as their economies expand. In the 1970s, an economist named Richard Easterlin uncovered a puzzle that bears his name, the Easterlin paradox. This graph illustrates his finding. Over 50 years in industrialized nations, per capita GDP rises sharply, yet national happiness remains completely flat. Consider Japan. Between 1958 and 1987, its economy grew fivefold, while citizen happiness barely moved. Psychologists identify the antagonist behind this phenomenon as hedonic adaptation, commonly known as the hedonic treadmill. Economic progress neutralizes its own psychological rewards. No matter how much faster the economy runs, human satisfaction stays locked in place. Research suggests each of us inherits a happiness set point, a default emotional baseline wired into our genetics. A 1978 study led by Philip Brickman tested this by comparing two groups experiencing opposite extremes, people who had just won the lottery and people who had recently suffered severe accidents resulting in paralysis. Once the initial euphoria or shock wore off, both groups drifted back toward their previous emotional baselines. Whether they had won millions or lost their mobility, their reported happiness eventually returned to where it had been before the event. The brain is remarkably efficient. Intense feelings fade because our neural pathways habituate to the new reality, reallocating our attention to ordinary, daily tasks. Extreme life events, whether positive or negative, usually only trigger temporary spikes or dips in mood. We are ultimately hostages to our biological baseline. When we acquire a higher salary or a better home, specific cognitive mechanics actively pull us back to that baseline. The first is habituation. The human brain rapidly desensitizes to new comforts. The luxury car or the spacious house quickly becomes the expected, boring minimum standard. The second is social comparison. We evaluate our happiness based on our relative position to the people around us, not our absolute wealth. A study of medalists at the 1992 Olympics demonstrated exactly how shifted reference points warp our emotional reality. Researchers found that bronze medalists were visibly happier than silver medalists. The silver medalist compared themselves to the gold and felt they had lost. The bronze medalist compared themselves to everyone who didn't place and felt thrilled to be on the podium at all. This translates directly to personal finance through the neighbor effect. Data shows that if a peer's income rises above yours, your own life satisfaction decreases, even if your actual income hasn't changed a bit. Accumulating wealth merely shifts your reference group. You reset the treadmill at a faster speed, without actually gaining ground. If our biology aggressively neutralizes our financial gains, we have to find a way to hack the treadmill. One practical case study comes from the FIRE community, people pursuing financial independence and early retirement. Many in this group use a technique called the reset, which borrows from the ancient Stoic idea of practicing poverty. It involves deliberately stripping away modern comforts to endure periods of physical austerity. By intentionally subjecting themselves to cold, fatigue, or hunger on a long hike, they manually override their habituation. It resensitizes the brain, making ordinary things like a warm shower or a soft bed feel like incredible luxuries again. Periodic deprivation is a necessary psychological tool. It forces the brain to appreciate what it already has, preventing habituation from erasing your joy. To escape the loop permanently, we have to leverage the psychological concept of expectancy violation. This theory suggests that positive emotion is triggered most reliably by things we don't expect. Material purchases are static and quickly become predictable. Curating novel environments and unpredictable experiences forces the brain to process new stimuli, yielding far more lasting satisfaction. This requires shifting our priorities. Instead of chasing zero-sum goals like social status and arbitrary wealth targets, the focus moves toward non-zero-sum goals, personal autonomy, relationships, and skill acquisition. True financial independence functions as a purchase of blank space. It provides the capital necessary to reclaim control over your own time. Money is an effective tool to buy your freedom, but maintaining a fulfilling life inside that